guys, welcome back to the channel. I know what you're probably thinking, how in the world do you think that you're going to turn your 74 Ranchero into a sick off-road wrecker with a towing boom, and a V8, twin sticks, things like that? How are you going to do any of that with on a low budget, being a poor, broke guy working out of a two-car garage? Well, I'll tell you, it's a ton of work. You'll work your ass off, and you might just be able to come up with a cool thing out of it. And I have this idea. From now on, every time I part out a Ford truck, I'm going to keep the grill. I'm going to collect all these full-sized Ford grills and have a collection of them on my wall. Every time someone asks how I built such a cool wheeler on such a low budget, you know, every time you tell people, oh yeah, I built this sick car and it only cost me so-and-so amount of money, people never want to believe you. They're always like, oh, how? How is that possible? You can't get deals like that anymore. And I tell them, no, I paid market price for everything, but, I mean, I part stuff out. I buy things at a fair price. I drag it home. I part it out. I keep the things I want. I sell off the things that I don't need that other people want. At the end of the day, a lot of times I break even. And I have the parts that I needed, and they didn't actually cost me anything. Happens all the time. It's probably going to happen with this truck. By this truck, I mean the black one. You guys haven't even seen this one yet. I went and bought it yesterday. It's already on TikTok and Instagram, but I'm a little slow to get things on YouTube sometimes. Look at this. Now I have a black one. The black one is a 351 Windsor. The engine's there, but she's got a rod knock. Actually, this thing drove up onto my dolly. I have a new dolly. It's very nice. I love it. I will never use the borrowed dolly ever again. Go buy yourself your own dolly. Take really good care of it. Makes a world of difference. Anyways, back to the black truck. 351 Windsor, 4-speed. And you Ford guys will know that that's a really good transmission. And yes, it's a 4x4. So that means, do you see that? Twin sticks. Yeah, that's going in the Ranchero. In fact, I think I'm going to put this whole motor, transfer case, probably maybe even the rear axle, in the Ranchero for now, just to get mock-up started on turning it into a 4x4 and like a truck style chassis, because this is a lot of what I need. And the transmission and transfer case will be in there permanently. I might just find a different 351 Windsor to drop into the Ranchero once it's like ready. I might try my hand at rebuilding this one. I did see and hear it run. Like I said, it did drive up onto my dolly okay. So yeah, I might, once we're to that point someday, I'm definitely going to tear it down, see what kind of shape the block, the crank, everything is in. And if it's not too bad, we might even just rebuild this motor. It's a carbureted 351, so it's my cup of tea. Either way, yeah, this is what I'm working on right now. I just wanted to give you guys an update. The funny thing is, I've already found another Ford truck that I want to go buy, but unfortunately, like, my driveway is full. I cannot own any more vehicles right now. I simply am at my max, and so I have got to get that black truck parted out, cut it up. I really need to make a scrap run because my scrap metal is starting to get just crazy again. I did make a dump run the other day. I took 700 pounds of trash to the dump, so that cleaned it up a little bit, but now I have a ton of scrap metal laying around, and I'm torn between wanting to take the scrap metal and get it returned and wanting to wait until I get this black truck cut up. I think that's what I'm probably going to do. Keep working on cutting up this black truck and getting the pieces that I want saved. But unfortunately, I'm also just sort of running out of room for parts. I have multiple transmissions laying on my floor. I have this axle taking up a bunch of my garage space right now. There's a transmission up front here. It's the original Ford FMX. There it is, out of the Ranchero. All this stuff's listed for sale locally. $300 for the Ford 9 rear axle, $300 for the FMX. I imagine that they will sell. Those are really competitive prices on the market right now. just that they are kind of niche items. There's not a lot of people buying them, so it takes a while for stuff to sell. I did sell the 351 Cleveland. That's what basically financed me buying the dolly and the black truck right there. And I kind of miss it. You know, the Cleveland, really cool engine. It really is. Very high performance and classic Ford stuff. The only problem with the Cleveland is that it was made for like 5 years. It's very rare. Being a rare Ford small block V8 means that it actually has some really negatives about it, which is that like parts for it are very rare. You're not going to find hot rod parts for it, like, you know, headers and intake manifolds and stuff like that just laying around. You're just not. You have to order that stuff, and then if you have to order it, it costs, no surprise, it costs a lot more than like if you were ordering for a small block Chevy or a big block Chevy or even like a 302. Or my favorite example here is a 351 Windsor. Even though the 351 Windsor is honestly not as good of an engine as the Cleveland, it is so much more prolific. You can find it everywhere. I can find one super cheap. I just bought this whole truck with one in it for $450. Granted, that engine needs a rebuild, but I sold a good running one here recently for $600 to a guy that needed one for his truck. And I could come up on another one for less than $600 if I really needed to. I probably will at some point. And as I mentioned, I sold the Cleveland for $1,500. That's just a lot of money for an engine. One of the things I kind of want to do to my project, eventually when it's finished, is turbo it. It seems like a good idea. But the last thing I'd want to do is put a turbo on the original Cleveland and blow it up. That'd be a shame. So instead I sold it off to a guy who's going to put it in a nice classic Ford of his own. And, I'm probably just going to stick to a Windsor. I might upgrade to a 460 at some point, but I think for now it's probably going to stay small block because that's what everything is, and that's what this trans and transfer case is, and I really like this trans. It's the same trans that I had in my old Ford. I had a 78 F-150 4-speed 4x4, and it was really fun to drive. If you're not familiar with it, basically first gear is like a granny gear, so you don't really use it on the road. If you're not loaded down, you just start in second. And then it's effectively a 3-speed. 2, 3, 4. Gets you to highway speeds. And you can drive around almost anywhere in 3. Like, or all around town in third gear. It's like a stick that you almost never shift. Really long gear ratios. But that first gear is super low. Super, super low, which is really good for off-roading because you get a nice deep crawl ratio. The only con is that it is a manual, which isn't great. Probably go through clutches a lot. But what can you do? It's going to be a working rig. I imagine I'm going to be working on it all the time anyways. It's one of the points of building it myself, turning every bolt, building it with all new hardware, building it with Ford parts that I understand and am knowledgeable about and that I like. You know, this is one of the things that you do when you build yourself a custom vehicle. You pick out what you like and you just go with it. And I have to say that I really like that transmission. I like it a lot more than the FMX. I don't have a divorced transfer case to put behind me in the FMX. So I think that's where we're at. Hope you guys enjoy the video. I hope you stay tuned. Please like and subscribe to my channel. I'm really trying to grow it. I know my content has been a little dry lately, but I am getting ready to bring the Ranchero frame back into the mix, start setting it on leaf springs and solid axles, and putting the motor, transmission, and transfer case in it, and start just sort of mocking things up. I think that's going to be really cool when I get to that. I hope you guys will stay tuned and enjoy that with me. So anyways, you guys have a good one.